Gangs have been an epidemic in communities since Lucky Luciano and Al Capone. However, there is a new breed of gangs, the Crips and the Bloods. They are willing to do or die. Young men from Los Angeles, New York, Mississippi, Kansas City, Chicago, and many other states grow up absorbed in the gang culture where guns, crime, death, survival, and intimidation is a normal way of life. Being in a gang is an opportunity for a young man to feel a sense of financial support, a sense of family, security, control, power, and respect, and gain that ghetto star status. At a young age, young men can no longer be a child. They are thrown into the world of manhood. Our young men begin to transform into gangbangers and become a product of their environment. Brian Jones is one of those young men. He was born and raised in Compton, California. Brian's story begins on June 19, 2005, when he graduated from 8th grade, celebrating that day with his biological family. That day was a day of celebration. Brian thought to himself, man, I made it through 8th grade, still alive. I'm still able to walk. I can still see. You see, Brian had many friends who were paralyzed or dead because of bullets that pierced their bodies. One of his boys was stabbed in the eye. He's alive, but he lost his sight. And they were all from the same neighborhood. Yet Brian is still alive and well. Through it all, Brian was missing something from his life, something most black males miss, and that was a father in the home. Brian craved for the voice of a dad to teach him from right and wrong, a man that can mold him and lead him into his manhood. And Brian's mother was hooked on crack cocaine. She had been all of Brian's 12 years on earth. Family says she even used it while she was pregnant with him. Brian screamed out in the dark of the night and said, "Why did I have to come from a dysfunctional family? Why me?" When Brian turned 13, he went to the streets looking for a sense of family and found another family waiting for him to be reborn. Brian craved for that closeness that a young boy needs from his biological family. A set replaced that need. A set is a division of gangs. But in order for Brian to become a part of the set, which was the Bloods, he had to be jumped in. Jumping in means you have to take a beat down from several members of the set. Well, Brian took that beat down like a man trapped in a 13-year-old's body. Swollen eyes, a few broken ribs, and a couple of missing teeth. The streets and the gang lifestyle became all Brian knew. He separated himself from his biological family, and his set became his family. And the OGs became his father figures. The boys from his set, they became his mentors. One of those mentors was T-Bone. He schooled Brian on the gang-banging lifestyle. T-Bone was giving Brian everything he needed to prepare him to put in work. Putting in work is when you beat up someone or even kill them. The gang lifestyle and its teachings had made Brian become a violent young man. He had an attitude, I don't give a. He didn't care who he hurt or how they hurt. All he wanted to do was put in work. One day, Brian had beaten someone up so bad that he paralyzed the man. He stomped the man in his back and beat him with a metal bat. Man, gangbanging had schooled Brian on how to be violent and to seek his prey. That he was given the name Savage. Eventually, putting in work got Savage caught up. He was placed in juvenile hall. But for Savage, juvenile hall was like being on the streets. You had gang members in the hall, the Bloods and the Crips, and they would continue to bang behind the walls of juvenile hall. Gang banging was everywhere. It keeps a young man oppressed, whether you're on the streets or behind the walls. Once Savage got caught up in the system, he became part of the system, going in and out of juvenile hall until he was around 17 and a half. And then he graduated from the hall to prison. and the same oppression followed him. Prison gangbanging was a part of that lifestyle, even in prison. However, as Savage got older, he began to see through a different set of eyes and hear his heart differently. Being thrown in a hole a few times gave him a chance to reflect on his life and find out that he was walking around for so long dead. And then he found out about the death of his mentor T-Bone, and that really started to prick at his soul. Although he was still down for his set, prison gave him an awakening for all the years that he had been really walking around dead. He began to understand that killing one another was not the solution to the madness that was going on in the communities and in the prison. Savage thoughts were, we should not fight against our own people, but unite and stand with our people to make the community a better place for the generation to come. Savage served an 8-year stretch, and when he got out of prison, he lived up to the thoughts that clouded his mind when he was confined to the hole, and started a non-profit organization called United We Stand, Divided We Fall, where he helps young men who are trying to get out of the gang lifestyle and trying to prevent 9 and 10 and 11-year-olds from trying to get into the gang lifestyle. Savage said, I will always be down for my set. They're my family that I didn't have. But I'm just not willing to die or kill anyone for my set anymore. I vowed to do or die, yeah, and I claim banging as my life, and I believed that for many years. But I have realized that gang banging is no longer for me. It's not who I am. Now, it's who I used to be. I will no longer let gang banging keep me oppressed. Yeah, I came from a family that is dysfunctional, with no father in the home, allured by the gangbanging lifestyle, fascinated with the violence, believing that incarceration is a walk in the park. I survived all that. I'm still standing. I'm thankful. There's a reason I'm still here today, to make a difference for this generation so they can pass that knowledge on to the next. I'm no longer Savage. My name is Brian Jones. And I'm a new creature, and I can do all things through Christ Jesus, who strengthens me.